Welcome back to the International Training Institute of Health Masterclass. And what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about your heart. Now listen, your heart is the most phenomenal organ because you know what? The heart, it is the record keeper of all your emotions. And understand something, the heart is also the most damaged organ of all the organs in the human body. And how can I prove this? Well, statistics tell us that because heart disease, okay, is the main taker of life on this planet with human beings. Now, why does it do that? Well, yes, I know that we do have inflammatory diets. I know that we could eat better, but I will tell you that the main cause of heart disease belongs in your emotions. It's your emotions. It's not being the master of your emotions. Understand something. This is how life works. First, we see everything in an image. After we see something in an image, it becomes a thought. After it becomes a thought, it becomes an emotion. Depending on that emotion, whether it's negative or positive, will create a negative frequency or a positive frequency. This is where the fun starts. If it's a negative frequency, it's going to release HAC. What is HAC? HAC is
histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol.
All right. And we know that these hormone chemicals are for fight and fright and flight. And guess what? The problem today is there's no tigers, there's no dinosaurs, okay, that we need to run away from. And every time that we panic, that we create anxiety, that we create fear, we're usually not even moving. And so that acid is sitting inside of us, and that is eating away our heart. And that is pulling us down. So understand that. Now, if you were releasing your daily dose, which is
dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins,
then we know that you would be in a parasympathetic state, not in a sympathetic state, and you would be in rest and repair. But you're not going to be there until you learn how to what? Do the lion heart breathing, which is 6 seconds in, hold for 1 to 2 seconds to find 0 point, which is the present moment, which is the only place that you can actually create a beautiful life, and then release 7 seconds. And that connects you to everything. Understand something. When your heart beats fast, that's anxiety. Okay? When your heart is beating too slow, that's exhaustion, that's fatigue, that's depression. So all of these emotions are hurting your heart. And understand something. The more emotional that you are, you will be damaging your heart on an emotional level. And understand something. The invisible creates
the physical.
That's
Visible.
right. The invisible creates the visible. And guess what? Thought form creates physical form. So understand, when you start creating blocks in your body and you create blocks in your heart, this is when your heart's going to die. And how many times have you said to yourself in your life, my heart's in pieces. My heart is empty. She broke my heart.
You can literally die from a broken heart.
And guess what? When a couple have been together and when they have used each other to fill each other's hearts and they don't fill their own hearts, a person can die, the wife or the husband, and because the wife usually filled up the husband's heart, when she passes 1 or 2 years later, he's gone. Now, that doesn't have to happen. And the other thing is, that doesn't happen just for the elderly or people who are getting older. The first time that you remember that you ever fell in love with anyone and you fell head over heels, when you broke up with them, you couldn't sleep at night. You thought life was over. You didn't want to go on. I can remember her name was Wendy. I couldn't sleep on the bed. I had to sleep on the floor. I was so uncomfortable. I was choked, and I'm the one that broke up with her. So how messed up was I? How much love did I have in my family? You know, I'm going to tell you, I came from a really messed up family, and so does everybody else. And I'm going to tell you, we need to wake up, okay? And listen to me. Love is a self-serve job. You know, they say that in the universe that love is the answer. Well, let me tell you something. It is. But on this planet, it's called self-love. And it's not called selfish. It's called self-love. But it's being selfish enough to know that you've got to fill up your own heart so that you don't make your family and those around make them feel bad because they're not filling your heart or telling you how much they love you every day. I mean, it's great. I mean, I want hugs. I want people to tell me they love me. I do. But I don't want to have to need it that I'm going to go into a tantrum or go into depression or say, you know what, every time you leave, my heart breaks. You know, okay, what's wrong? Did I do something wrong to you today? So understand something. You need to get this. Society does not teach you this. By the time you're out of high school and you graduated, you're a mess. You don't know how to add. You don't know how to read. You don't know how to love yourself. You don't know how to feed yourself. And that's all been dictated by the heartbreakers out there that don't care about you. So if you really truly want to bring love home, then you got to bring self-love home, and you got to become the light for your family. And that's the only way you're going to fix a heart. You got to fill your own heart. So if your children and your wife and the people around you are if you fill your heart only with 10%, you make everybody else responsible for the other 90%. You know what? I talk to younger people all the time, and they get really, the self-confidence isn't there. Does he love me? Does she love me? You know what? Do you love yourself? If you have to answer that question, then you don't love yourself. And there's the start of heart disease. There it is right there. And it's going to continue on this planet. Okay? Don't worry, though. Cancer's going to take over because they've just doubled their advertising for the Cancer Association. So now they're going to advertise even twice as much as they were doing before. And every year they're increasing it, and every year they increase their profits. And they increase the amount of cancer that they create because what? Thought creates everything, and where the mind goes, the body follows, and it becomes a landmine. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about heart conditions.
All right. First one I have here is coronary artery disease, which is narrowing of the arteries. So coronary artery disease develops when the major blood vessels that supply your heart with blood, oxygen, and nutrients become damaged or diseased. Cholesterol-containing deposits, or plaque, in your arteries and inflammation are usually to blame for coronary artery disease. When plaque builds up, it narrows your coronary arteries, decreasing blood flow to your heart. Eventually, the decreased blood flow may cause chest pain or angina, shortness of breath, or other coronary artery disease signs and symptoms. A complete blockage can cause a heart attack.
So understand something. This condition here is what causes the high blood pressure. Because the more that you are emotionally not in charge, mm-hmm. and the more, and when you're not emotionally in charge and you feel depressed or you feel anxiety, do you eat well? Do you go make a salad? Do you think about drinking water? Mm-hmm. No. So the more that you are emotionally not in charge and the more that you eat inflammatory foods, the more acidic you're going to be. Your blood needs to maintain its pH. Now, to do that, that means it's got to pull the calcium and the alkaline minerals from your artery walls, and it's pulling calcium from the artery walls, and you're actually getting cracks in the artery walls, and you have to make the cholesterol, which is normal, but you got to make the cholesterol to goop up the cracks. Mm-hmm. Now, because you're so acidic, and when you do something and your body goes out of control because it overcompensates. If you freak out, your body freaks out. And if your body freaks out, it overcompensates with the cholesterol. So eventually, it will thicken the walls, and then you will get the high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So understand, you will always make cholesterol, and cholesterol is not evil, okay? I'll tell you what's evil. The way they treat us, the way they teach us how to treat ourselves emotionally and physically, that is what's evil, and there is an evil out there. Mm-hmm. That's the evil that creates this. So understand that. So that's why you get the thickening in the walls, and that's why we get coronary heart disease. All right? And understand something. When your arteries start to clog up and the walls thicken, that means that also your blood is getting thicker. But here's the deal. Your arteries and your veins only make up 24% of your circulation. The main part of your circulation is microcirculation, and that's 74%. No, that's 76%. Mm-hmm. And that's 76% of that circulation. If the major arteries and highways are being clogged up and jammed up, your microcirculation's already going down the tube. And any place where you have a disease or inflammation or some kind of physical blockage called a tumor or a fibroid, or you have diabetes, or you have, wherever any of these diseases are, these conditions, the microcirculation is already gone. So unless you're going to learn how to bring up the circulation, especially the microcirculation, bring up the temperature and clean this stuff out. And you're not going to do that unless you get on something like the Perfect Day and do the 12 Braveheart, 12 loving steps, and learning how to love yourself for the first time in your life. And you know what? You can say what you want. But if you really sit down and think about how much do I really love myself, you'll probably say, I don't even know what the heck that is. Yeah. Let's go on to our next condition.
All right. So heart attack. A heart attack occurs when the flow of blood to the heart is blocked. The blockage is most often a buildup of fat, cholesterol, and other substances, which form a plaque in the arteries that feed the heart, or the coronary arteries. The plaque eventually breaks away and forms a clot. The interrupted blood flow can damage or destroy parts of the heart muscle.
That's true, but none of that has to happen, okay? You know, if I were throwing garbage into the river that's right outside my door, you know, it's going to eventually just collect and jam up the flow.
Totally.
And that's what we're doing. And why would you be treating yourself like garbage?
Yeah, and what did you say, though, in one of the last episodes? 70% of people that go in for a heart attack, it's actually
a fart attack.
angina.
No, it's actually much higher than that. It's up around 95%.
95% of
See,
heart
okay,
attacks.
so
Yeah,
it'll be angina, which is gasping, anxiety, low oxygen, low mineral content. So the heart is actually, you're starving off the heart. But guess what? And think about this. I want you to think about this. The next time that somebody gets rushed to the hospital and you find out that they had angina, you will find out that they are starving themselves off of love. They are angry at someone. They believe that someone doesn't love them, and they're actually punishing themselves. Okay, so there's always an emotion wrapped up. Remember, the heart is the record keeper of everything, and if it's keeping the record, and you're having emotional chaos in your life, like a up and down seesaw, right? It's getting the living crap kicked out of it. And you'll find that somebody that gets rushed to the hospital and they've got angina, you'll find out it could like Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, it's full. It's full of fart attacks, right? Because we're not digesting the food and we're creating all that gas. It's putting pressure up on the heart. But remember something, we're talking about the heart right now, and we're going to be showing you a heart treatment where we actually go in and we work all around the heart area. And you will find, especially with men more than women, there's a lot more emotion that comes out of a woman. But you'll find with men that if you actually take a look, they could be right-handed, right? Which means this side should be bigger, right? And then you'll find that the left side can be anywhere from a 1/4 inch to 1 inch higher around the heart. And that's because we wall off our heart to wall off our emotions. I worked on a Navy SEAL guy, remember?
In Florida.
Yes.
In Florida, and he came in like this, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then he went down. Nice guy, though.
Yeah, super nice guy, but like,
he's a Marine.
He was a Marine. Yeah.
He's a Marine. He's a Marine.
No emotion. And then, okay, I'll explain. And so Daryl went in for about like maybe 15, 20 minutes, and like
that was the abdomen first.
Yeah, that was the abdomen. But when he went into
day.
his heart, when you went in for 15, 20 minutes, he's like, I kind of got to cry. And Daryl's like, well, let it go. And he's like, oh, okay. And he just breaks down and lets it all go. And he's like, I haven't cried in years like that. Like, I don't know why. Like, something just came over me. And Daryl was just like,
okay. And here's one. It kind of chokes me up. We were on the Q&A, and his wife called up 2 weeks ago. And so we haven't been there for like 4 months. And she just said, he came home a new man. Everything changed. He is just a beautiful father. He was beautiful before, but now he has no walls. He's beautiful. He's just so tender, and he's so open. You changed our whole life.
Yeah, it was amazing when they called it.
Go on our Q&As, and you will see she's.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't remember which episode it was, but it was episode
6. All right.
Episode 6. Thank you, Max. And honestly, that was amazing when she called in. That touched our hearts big time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we'll be showing that in video.
Yep.
And
we'll be showing a full heart treatment.
And it's called the heart release.
Yeah.
please release me, let me go.
Yeah.
Okay? So understand, we just want you to understand something that, and this is because this is our last one, isn't it? This is our last one of talking about this.
Yeah.
Understand this. You're 99 point, this is scientific. You're 99.999999996% empty space, and you're made in these atoms, okay? Particles. And these particles that we're talking about, you have 7 billion of them, and that's how much empty space is inside of them. But it's not empty space, it's your spirit. And if you don't feed your spirit, which means if you don't fill yourself up with love, then you are not going to be that shining light that you came down here to be. Okay? All right? Okay.
Next.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Abnormal heart rhythms or arrhythmias. Heart rhythm problems.
Emotional, right? Abnormal, right?
Up and down.
Yeah.
Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and
Yeah.
down. And I'm going to tell you, this person has thyroid problems. They have anxiety problems. They can't sleep at night.
Yep.
Okay. And then if you ask them what's wrong, nothing. And if there was a stress and that gets out of the way, there's already one in line. Go
Totally.
ahead.
So heart rhythm problems occur when the electrical impulses that coordinate your heartbeats don't work properly, causing your heart to beat too fast, too slow, or irregularly. And that would be triggered from the emotions.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to do physical work on things, because that person's up and down and all around. See how they do everything.
Their
Well,
adrenals
just-
are shot.
They
Yeah,
run
they're-
over here and they go,
Yeah,
what do I
run
want?
over-
What do I
yeah.
want? What am I supposed to get? Right? They blurp out things that they don't need, they didn't mean to say.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you don't look at your beliefs will, and they're dysfunctional, those dysfunctional beliefs become entities that need to be fed, and you'll be doing the same things that create chaos in your life continually until you look at this.
And that's why the brave heart is so important, doing the 12 self-loving steps, because that is what's really going to bring you back to the present moment, and really focusing on your breath, doing the lion heart breathing whenever you get
And
into
take-
those states of panic or
Yeah.
or stress or whatever it is that's making your heart beat irregularly.
And taking you back into your past. You need to be brave in the present moment, go back into the past, and find out where in your childhood the first shoe dropped, right?
Yeah.
And then you need to rewrite that story the way you want to see it, and then bring it forward into the present to create the most beautiful future. If we don't want to go back into the past and make things right back there, then you're going to be taking left-hand turns for your future. Okay.
Next on the list, we have heart failure. Heart failure, sometimes known as congestive heart failure, occurs when your heart muscle doesn't pump blood as well as it should. Certain conditions, such as narrowed arteries in your heart or high blood pressure, gradually leave your heart too weak or stiff to fill and pump effectively.
Okay, so what makes you so stiff is those thoughts. But those thoughts will also turn into eating stiff foods, things that will stiffen you up, which are inflammatory foods. And you know what? I think you're getting a little bit of connection here. We've got a lot of different heart diseases going on, and they're all from the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Inflammatory thoughts, inflammatory diet, inflammatory life, inflammatory heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, we have heart valve disease. In heart valve disease, one or more of the valves in your heart doesn't work properly. Your heart has 4 valves that keep blood flowing in the correct direction. In some cases, one or more of the valves don't open or close properly. This can cause the blood flow through your heart to your body to be disrupted.
So what happens when you're always in contracture? You don't allow things to close,
Flow,
or they close and they won't open. What happens when your blood gets sticky? Would the valve get
Really
sticky?
Yeah.
Oh, of
Okay,
course.
all right.
Is it sticking open or
That-
sticking shut?
That's right. So there's the reality right there. I'll let you just play with that.
Yeah.
Next, we have congenital heart disease. Congenital heart disease is one or more abnormalities in your heart structure that you're born with. This most common is with birth defects, can alter the way blood flows through your heart.
Okay, so now I know that people aren't going to want to hear this one, but then you can just push it off the table. Okay, most of these problems are not congenital, like in the genetics or anything like that. It actually happens in the mother's womb because the mother is terrorizing herself. Maybe her husband
Maybe the
left her.
husband terrorizing
There's
her.
there's not enough money. He left her. She's all alone. Or maybe there's a husband there who's a brute, who's physically or emotionally abusive. And trust me, there's enough of those around.
And we see that with holes in the heart as well with
Yeah,
children.
holes in the heart, and we see that a lot. And we go back and we do tracking with the mother, and to find out that when she was pregnant, there was terrorism in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? The baby gets a hole in his heart because where's the love? So
There's a hole in the relationship.
I don't expect anybody to believe this, so just let it go. I made it up. The reality is that we are energy light beings, and if you want to totally just push that off the table, then you're going to miss the best part of your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, we have heart muscle disease or cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy is a disease of the heart muscle that makes it harder for your heart to pump blood to the rest of your body. Cardiomyopathy can lead to heart failure. So very similar to what we talked about before.
Yeah. And
Just a different name.
And
a
know
different
this,
location.
it's because it's lacking, it could be lacking magnesium, right, to relax the heart.
Definitely. Yeah.
But the problem is your body doesn't lack magnesium. It's the terrorism and the inflammation that burns up the magnesium.
in the first place.
So, and then the other thing is you can say it's lacking calcium, but it's not. It's pulling tons of it from your bones, and that's why it made your heart so damn stiff.
Yeah.
It made your heart stiff from the calcium, bone calcium, and the only true calcium I know that would help would be the SAC calcium.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that one, and everything else, you show me some truth. Okay?
Next, we have pericardial disease. Pericardial disease is the accumulation of too much fluid in the double-layered sac-like structure around the heart.
Too much inflammation, you've got to take on extra water. The extra water is to help to put out the fire. Wherever there's a huge fire, let's bring the hose. Okay.
The space between the layers normally contains a thin layer of fluid, but if the pericardium is diseased or injured, the resulting inflammation can lead to excess fluid. Fluid can also build up around the heart without inflammation, such as from bleeding after chest trauma.
Okay. I don't know why. And let's just throw that one in for good measure.
Good.
We'll throw that in for good measure. Okay, all right.
If your chest is bleeding, you're pretty out there already. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not really. Did you want to touch on that anymore, or you covered it?
No, I
Yeah?
think that one was good.
Okay, perfect. The last on our list is vascular disease, so blood vessel disease. Blood vessel disease is characterized by the narrowing of the arteries and veins because of a buildup of fatty deposits,
We just talked
which
about this.
impacts the blood supply around the body.
Okay, so now they're just giving another condition that's the same condition as the other condition, but now we've got another one.
Now it's just fatty deposits. It's not
Yeah,
all
it's
other
just
things
fatty
this
deposit.
time.
Yeah. So you know what? Who can keep up, right? Like tomorrow there'll be another 3 on the list here, and then there'll be another 3 pills to match the ills. And you can think I'm being a smarty, but I'm not. Well, maybe I am. I'm being more smarter than a lot of people, because at least I'm not getting sucker punched.
And you're
That's
going in
right.
to get it done.
That's right. So we're not telling you not to take the drugs. We're not telling you not to get the surgery. We're not telling you not to get rushed to the hospital.
No,
but
there's alternatives.
But on your downtime, you might want to take a look
Think
at
about
something
it. Just
else.
like watch what we have. Look at our information, and if you're not into us, go an alternative route somewhere else.
Yeah, find somebody.
There's something out there that if you're not comfortable with the medical system, you'll be comfortable somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know what? Find somebody that vibrates higher than you, because you're looking for
wanna
them
come
to
up.
bring you up. And understand this. You know what? Our job is to trigger you to go and start the journey, start the search, and say, I do deserve more.
Yeah.
I do deserve better. My family deserves better. And if it's not us, guess what? We're fine with that.
We did our
because
job in the first place.
we did it.
because we opened your eyes to start
Yeah.
something new.
Because we're into this thing where we believe that we are all family, okay? And that we need to help everybody. And the only way that we're going to save the planet is if we save you from yourself. Meaning if we
Save
could teach...
ourselves first so we can give that
That's
out.
right. You got to save yourself from yourself. And the only way you're going to do that is if you truly loved yourself, right? You would never hurt another human being. And you would also know that there is spirit in everything. in the bugs, in the leaves, in the rocks. You would understand and you would return back to nature. Okay, just like all the indigenous tribes, we need to go back to the old ways. You can keep your iPhone though.
And honestly,
Just make sure you get some Tesla glasses for that blue light.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
The most important thing is really just educating yourself. We have our whole library for you to dive into. So go to DocaDetoxLibrary.com, check out The Perfect Day, check out The Braveheart Way, check out the rest of all of the booklets that we have in there, all of the videos, audios. It's absolutely amazing what we've put together, and it's all for you. It's all free. And if you're interested in the heart treatment, we are going to be doing that video, so check that out. And also check out the testimonials, because we do have some amazing testimonials.
We got amazing
from
testimonials.
people who have had this treatment done as well.
Yeah, and also don't forget, if you've got questions, and we like your calls, but nobody likes to call anymore. That's how conditioned we are. So then just make sure you join us for our Monday and Friday Q&As.
At 11 a.m.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't have them, but if you take a look or you come to Facebook, and even if you don't like Facebook, if you join Facebook or Instagram, especially Facebook, I'll do like a 5-minute training every day, won't I?
Yeah.
To keep on giving people that, breadcrumbs. Let's do this. We got this, okay? All right? God bless, and thank you for joining us. And we
Thanks,
hope you
everybody.
really enjoyed this part of the International Training Institute of Health's Master Class. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
We've loved this series, and we hope you've loved it too.
Time to take your power back.
And we've only begun. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to the International Training Institute of Health Bodywork Masterclass. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, okay, we're going to be talking about your heart. And we're going to be talking about your heart because it's so important, because your heart is the emotional organ of the human body. That's right. Okay, you know what? Even though it kind of looks like a heart, it really is and does all the recording of your emotional up and downs, traumas, okay, in your life goes in your heart. Did you know that your heart is the most damaged organ of your whole body? Did you know that heart disease is the #1 cause of death? Did you know that we can teach you on to have the strongest heart and never have any disease in it ever? And not until you learn how to master your emotions, because where your thoughts go, the body goes. And understand, where your thoughts go, your thoughts will decide on what the chemist dumps. Otherwise, your brain, is it going to be dumping HAC, which is a histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol into your body that is going to tear your heart apart because you're going to be in fight, fright, or flight? Or are you going to be in a parasympathetic state and be in a peaceful, restive state where you're going to dump your daily dose, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins? Because that's how you're going to have a healthy heart. So we're going to talk about the heart, and here's the deal about the heart. You may not know this, but if you go and take a look, especially men, even though they might be right-handed, you'll find that it'll be from 1/4 of an inch to 1 inch higher on the left pec. Why is that when this is the dominant area? Because guess what? We actually build crystallization, calcification, and scar tissue formation like a wall around our heart, because we have been taught that the world is supposed to fill our heart up. Our families are supposed to fill up our heart, or our partner, and that causes us emotional grief, pain, and suffering. And when we learn that total self-love is the way, because we can fill up our own heart and then shine that light on the ones we love, we will have less damage. But here's the reality. That's not the world we live in. So watch. When we go into anybody's heart, we're going to feel like a fist of scar tissue wrapped around that heart. And you may not understand this, but about 95 to 98% of the population that gets rushed to the heart attack Okay, because rush to the hospital because they have a heart attack. It's not a heart attack. It's a fart attack with gas pressure pushing up, or it's an anxiety attack because they're not getting the love that they need, because love is oxygen. And if we don't get enough of it, then we get choked. And if you don't get enough oxygen, which is love, the heart will choke off, and then you go into a panic anxiety attack. And eventually it will turn into heart problems like heart disease. So we're going to talk about going in and opening up your heart, and to show you how much you've been blocking your heart and trying to protect your heart, because the world is heartless. You know what? I don't feel like I'm loved. You know what? I feel like my heart's in pieces. My heart feels empty. My heart is broken. Are we done yet? This is why we want you to look at the Braveheart 12 self-loving steps. And we want you to take heart today, and we're going to show you how we can take your heart apart and put it back together.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay.
This is one of the most transformative treatments that can be done, because everybody builds up so many walls around their heart, which from childhood we don't even realize the walls that are there until we really do the 12 self-loving steps, the recall, healing, and mind mapping. And really go back in time and discover all of these times that we had been hurt or feel like we were hurt, and then we can reprogram everything that we feel is trapped in our heart and reprogram that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. We don't want to drag old stories. So last night, we shot here till what? 7 o'clock?
8
o'clock. I left here, went home, got changed, and we have a personal treatment and training, a beautiful lady, and she's staying with us right now. We have somebody that stays in our condo every week. It's a personal treatment and training where we teach them and we treat them. And last night I was doing an open heart, right? Yep. We're going to open her heart. So anyways, I go in and I go, do you notice? And with her, it was about a half an inch. No, it was 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch higher on her left side. And I said, do you notice how it's higher? And she said, oh, well, it's only higher because I had a stroke on my right side when I was younger. And I said, okay, why don't we just play a little game and see if it really is that way? So I worked on her, and about 30 minutes later, I said, now feel. And she goes, oh my gosh, this side is actually a half an inch lower than this side, when this was 3/4 of an inch higher than this side. And I said, see, that's because you've been protecting your heart. And then guess what? She starts crying. And she says, my mother died today, and I didn't even realize that.
Oh, wow.
And she had, and I don't want to get into it, but you know, sometimes we have some complications in our relationship with our parents, don't we?
Yep.
So then I stayed there and I talked for another half hour with her. And because she was really into meditation, guess what? She goes, oh my gosh, I'm still working on her heart and doing a little bit of work. And you know what she says? Oh my gosh, my guru for 20 years, he died this day too. And then she starts crying again.
Wow.
And she said to me, I don't know why, but this morning when I called you and said I wanted my heart fixed, or I wanted you to do my heart, I didn't realize why, and now I know why. And that's exactly what went down last night. Please, never let your intuition take a back seat. Let your mind take a back seat.
Your intuition is your most powerful tool.
All right, so
let's talk about the heart treatment. So we do it quite similarly to how we do the breast treatment, because we are working with the same chest bone, of course. So we're going to start at the xiphoid process at the bottom of the sternum, and we use a shaving technique to really thoroughly release any crystallization, calcification, or scar tissue that is on the sternum, and we work all the way up to the jugular notch and come back down. We always go back from where we started.
And understand, when Abby's telling you this, we're going to walk through it, right? But anybody who wants it in more depth and more detail will go back to
the breast lift and restorative treatment.
Yeah.
Restorative?
Yeah.
So we would do the sternum first, and then we would come to the costal cartilage, and we're going to work on each costal cartilage, and there are 12 of them from the top by the collarbone to the bottom at the floating rib.
all the way down to the floating rib.
And then after that, we would come through and work first at the collarbone. So we're going to really clear the collarbone using a shaving and scaling technique. Really getting there with a pinpoint technique, because you're going to find little displaced pieces of calcium all along there.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to come on each rib and in between each rib to clear the intercostal muscles. And I'll let Sage take it from there.
So we're coming through, and when we're actually on top of the bone, it's more of a light scaling technique, because you don't want to go too deep. You're bone on bone. You're not having to go searching for the scar tissue. If you're ever working directly on bone, the scar tissue is almost going to be on the surface, or you're going to be working on bone, which is actually just displaced calcium, kind of hiding the bone right underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to be coming on top and then in between, on top and in between. So it's like between the valley, on top of the ridge of each rib, all the way down from the collarbone to the floating rib.
And all the way out to
all the way through.
Yeah. And then from there, we would come and do a vertical shave over top of the pec or breast.
So we're actually loosening up all the pectoral muscle or the breast tissue, bringing more blood flow into it.
And now,
And the reason why you're being so thorough is because you have no idea how much emotion you hold in that heart. So you want all the surrounding area to support when you go in to to uncover and discover what's actually being buried.
Yeah,
Okay?
and there's times though too where I'll be working and I'll be like, I'll just like completely stop and I'll be like, just let go, and we'll just take a minute and breathe, and then you'll go back into the exact same area and it feels completely different. There's a knot there that's surfaced because they got into their parasympathetic, they got into their lion heart breathing, and they just let it go.
and they're opening it up so that you can find what needs to be found.
And there'll be some joyous crying, and I do
Yeah.
mean joyous
Yeah.
crying.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
in Florida we had a few
Yeah,
experiences
yes,
like
Yeah.
that
you'll get
with the Marine and with one of our students.
Yes, that's
She
right.
had a heart release as well.
That's right.
Two,
A few of them.
a few.
A few out of
I'm
them.
like, wait,
Yeah, we had a
how
few.
many?
And and a couple of them had to bail for the afternoon just to be with themselves,
Yeah.
to
Honor themselves.
process and honor that which they were trying to bury. So
Yeah. So once we really pull back all those layers over the heart, because it layers on top of
Yeah.
each other. Those are all the walls that we've been building up over the years. So we want to take down all those walls, and then we can really get into the heart and do the release.
And when you start to get into the heart, because it's a little bit different, once you get in there, you'll feel it is actually deep rooted and hooked in. And you've got to work the different angles from this side, coming over to this side, working from the top, working from the bottom. And when you finally clear that out, you'll see that it comes way down and everything changes, okay? And then there will be tenderness around the heart for about 2 or 3 days. Some people will have tenderness up to 10 days.
Yes,
and
up
those
to
people
14, but
Yeah, it
those
really depends
people-
on the health of the person.
And those people too, like I won't mention names or anything, but we worked on somebody, and it took her about 10 to 14 days. I don't know exactly how long, but she said, wow, she just kept having things come up. You know, she had a couple of marriages, and there was some real stuff in her life, and and we talked about last night how we worked on someone else's heart, and their diaphragm was frozen, and their doctor said it will never unfreeze again. And by doing the heart, her diaphragm let go about 4 or 5 days after she left here, after we did the heart. And he said, that's impossible. Went in and he did an x-ray, and he said, oh my gosh, it did. And that's like
gonna
I
be
said,
so transforming for
Yeah.
her whole body to have.
well,
her
it's transforming for her doctor, because she's going into her doctor and she's going to spend an hour with him and tell him about all the things that we did with her.
Amazing.
Because he couldn't believe that the diaphragm actually let go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Said no. We said no. Look at medical science says when that happens, your diaphragm's locked in like that in scar tissue. It's going to stay like that for the rest of your life.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
And we all know her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. All right. And do you want to finish off the heart?
Yeah, so you just kind of continue working through the pectoral tissue or the breast tissue, really loosening that up. Go clockwise, come vertically down through it. You're going to play all your angles. The thing is, we don't work one way. It's like you're running your hand across a piece of plywood. One way is going to be smooth, the other you're going to get slivers. So we want to play all those angles to feel all that scar tissue and crystallization that's rooted in, because you could be coming at it one way and be like, oh, there's nothing. Change your angle and you're like, oh, there it is.
There's the missing piece.
There's the missing piece, and that's it. That's really the heart treatment. If you saw it, you'd be blown away. I know it seems pretty simple right now, and but it's really
simple but powerful.
very powerful.
Yeah, if you're wanting to learn, come check out the class and see for yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you're interested in even just getting a treatment, we
Treatment,
have
yeah.
master therapists all around the world. We have our clinic here in Kelowna where you can do a personalized treatment and training. You can come
We're
up and stay
constantly
with
on the
us.
road.
Yeah,
So
but we
it
teach in
depends,
Australia,
Yeah.
England right now. We teach in
Florida,
California and Florida, and we make that Texas
Texas.
and Texas.
Yeah.
We're in Texas next.
Yeah,
There you go.
Texas in February. So whenever we're on the road traveling, we are going to be letting everybody know where we are. So if anybody does want treatments, they are able to get in touch with us and book in.
That's right. You don't have to come and take the class. You can come and get a treatment and stick your toe in the water.
Exactly.
And remember, when we do the heart, we will use the Bioptron. We will do the Avicen, okay? And we will do the pelvic expander, open the heart, open the pelvis, make everything flow, get everything open. We will go over the things that we would like our patient to do when they go home, and things of using essential oils. We won't be using the DMSO on
And
the...
you can check that out, though, in the pre and post care videos.
Yeah.
That's
we
right.
did.
And also check out the masterclass on all the heart conditions where we
Yeah.
went over what the medical system views, how the medical system views them and how we view them, to really get a good understanding and then see if this treatment's best for you.
And you'll find that in the library, and it'll be under the International Training Institute of Health A to Z Wellness Guide, and it'll all be there. You can go in and read everything. We're not going to hide anything. Click on a video, watch the therapy, see what you think, and you be the judge. You observe, and then decide what it is you'd like. We're here to
Evolve
help.
in your court.
Have the best day of your life. Until tomorrow.
Take
Thanks
care.
for watching.